to introduce myself, I decided to not cosplay a specific character and instead to just embrace my favorite color, which is blue, and to wear a celestial pattern dress I thrifted that has pockets. Salutations, fellow readers. I'm an English teacher. Welcome to my literary itinerary. We're going to start my BookTube journey with the BookTube Newbie tag and my book rating system, so you'll know how I rate books. I would like to give credit to the creator of this tag, but alas, I don't actually know who it is. So if you know who the original creator is, then let me know. BookTube Newbie tag question 1. Why did you start this channel? A pretty standard reason: I want friends with whom I can discuss books, as my real life friends can only hear so many of my gushes and rants since I read more than they do. And the tags and challenges on BookTube look super fun, so I want to participate in them. Also, I want an excuse to cosplay more often. Here's an example of one of my cosplays. These are a bunch of pictures of Angel Dust from Husband Hotel, and then here's my costume. And that shows you something I like other than books, which would be musicals. What new things can you bring to BookTube? Question 2. As an English teacher, part of my job is I objectively grade writing with scoring rubrics to ensure I don't biasly give high scores to work that I like and low scores to what I dislike, because that wouldn't be fair to the students. Art makes us feel things, and these feelings cause most people to label art as good or bad without examining the quality. I won't pretend I don't have preferences or that I'm objective all the time, but overall, I can acknowledge and analyze strengths and weaknesses in a book that, from what I've observed of other people, they either cannot or choose not to. I teach students with special needs, so my channel will have an emphasis on diverse literature for children and young adults, with representation of characters that have different genders, races, sexualities, disabilities, neurodivergences, and more. I intend to incorporate my love for costumes and cosplay. All right, let's get on to these scoring rubrics that I've mentioned. I designed these rubrics myself for fiction and nonfiction. Both of them have 5 categories, and each category you can give 0, half, or 1 whole star for a potential total of 5 stars. This is the equivalent of 10 points. The 5 categories for fiction are the 5 Ps: people, characters, place, setting, prose, writing, plot, events, and purpose, theme. The 5 categories for nonfiction are FIRES, FIRES, F, format organization, I, images/visuals, R, relevance of the information, E, enthralling or how interesting the information is, and S, the style of writing. What do these star ratings mean to me? 4.5 and above are books I loved and I would reread and recommend. 4 stars is a book that I liked and would reread and recommend it. 3.5 is the most common rating I give books. It means I liked it and I recommend it, but I probably wouldn't reread it just because there's so many books I've never read before that I haven't had the chance to read. A 3-star book I feel neutral about. I certainly wouldn't reread it, but I might recommend it if somebody is seeking what that book does well. 2 to 2.5 are books that I dislike. So obviously I wouldn't reread or recommend those. And 0 to 1.5 are horrible books that I hate. I actually actively recommend people avoid these books if anyone happens to ask me about them, if they come up in conversation. I don't rate books that I don't finish. Interestingly, most of my favorite books are 4.5 out of 5 stars or 9 out of 10 points because I love them, but I'm able to recognize the flaws within them. For example, The Hobbit doesn't have any female characters at all. That's a huge world building hole. So I can't pretend that that doesn't exist just because I personally like the book. BookTube Newbie Tag question 3. What are you excited about with your channel? Giving and receiving book recommendations, having intellectually stimulating conversations to challenge and enhance my understanding of the books that I've read, because if you've read it, you might have a different perspective, and that could be interesting for us to talk about. And I do want to act in silly costumes. So right now, I'm not really acting as anyone because I'm just being myself in costume. BookTube Newbie Tag question 4. Why do you love reading? Reading allows you to travel anywhere and anytime, and you can learn anything as long as you read. Question five. What book got you into reading? When I was young, I used to read these anthologies of classic fairy tales by Brothers Grimm and Hans Christian Andersen, myths like Greek, Egyptian, and Celtic, and legends such as Arthurian, Robin Hood, etc. Now, before I could read these to myself, I would ask my grandmother to read them aloud to me. Eventually, I got the right prescription of spectacles when I was 6 years old. That meant I was finally able to read them aloud to her and just silently to myself. I'm actually legally blind without my glasses, so thank gosh I got them. I got stacks of Dr. Seuss from the library each week, but they swiftly became too easy for me, so I moved on to chapter books by Anna Martin. She's famous for The Babysitter's Club. And Louis Sacker, his most well-known book is Holes because it was made into a film. As an adult, I struggled to find enough time to read until I embraced a minimalist lifestyle. And now I have more free time, so I can enjoy reading retellings of these childhood favorites, among other things. All right, what would you ask other booktubers? That's question six. I would ask them, do you fear losing your job due to your online content? So I personally am worried that I will one day lose my livelihood of teaching due to the bigotry that exists in the world. I actually wanted to start a channel like this for years. But I only wanted to do it if I was able to openly be myself with my audience. And I was afraid that if the parents of my students found my content, then they would complain about someone like me teaching their children and that I would get fired. And I don't know if obscuring my features with costumes will solve that issue because anyone who knows me well in real life will definitely recognize me even in costume because I'm not doing anything to disguise my voice or body language or anything like that. And that's mostly fine since I only keep people in my personal life who are kind and accepting people. I just hope that people in my profession don't recognize me, and if they just met me once in passing, fingers crossed they won't realize that it's me. My fear about this does still exist, but I decided finally to start posting online anyway, despite how nervous I am about it, because I've been protesting for human rights of myself and others in person. So clearly, if they see me doing that in person, then that could already put me at risk. This is a photo of me at a protest. You might know the quote that evil wins when good people are silent. So I'm trying to not be silent. I don't know that I'm really an activist per se, because I just want to talk about books, but being yourself is already a form of protest against people who seek to make everyone the same. Question seven. What challenges do you anticipate? Well, I really struggle with perfectionism, and I'm gonna need to let go of that if I want to post any videos at all. Like, for example, I've already spent so many hours on this PowerPoint and I am nervous I'm going to spend hours editing because I'm second guessing myself. And I really need to adhere to the advice done is better than perfect because otherwise I'm never going to post anything. I already answered question eight, which is when did you start reading? I said that was when I was 6 and I finally got a prescription of glasses that was right for me. So now, question nine, where do I read? I like to read outside under a shady tree as long as it's not too many bugs because you know how there's mosquitoes outside and they tend to prefer specific individuals? Yeah, that's me. They just swarm to feast upon my flesh like I'm Pleakley and Lilo and Stitch. So I can't go outside if there's too many bugs. Then I'll just stay inside and I will read with a cup of tea and my cat on my lap if he's feeling snuggly, which he sometimes is, but he's very playful and adventurous. That's why I actually harness trained him. You see these photos here? This is my beautiful, mischievous prince, Hurricane, because he is a whirlwind of energy. Question 10. What kind of books do you like to read? I picked five categories for fiction and nonfiction just for the sake of time. So for fiction, we've got fantasy adventures set in the past and present of our world. I tend to prefer those. Secondly, queer romance, definitely superior to the hetero romances. Classics and historical fiction, specifically dystopian science fiction. I don't like most science fictions if they're not dystopian. There's exceptions though, which I'll totally make some videos about all the different subgenres and books I recommend within them. And then five, I put graphic novels, even though I know that is a medium, not a genre of fiction. I just really wanted to specify that I liked graphic novels since that feels relevant in introducing myself. And then my five categories of nonfiction are art books, just straight up photographs and prints of paintings, no words really. Self-help and psychology books. I actually was a psych major before I switched to English. Third, mythology, theology, spirituality, anything in that realm. I am a very spiritual person, but even for things I don't believe in, I really like to study them. And I'm pretty open-minded when I read stuff. I'm like, well, that might be true. Who knows what goes on in the afterlife? Four, poetry, both long, epic format and the short form poetry. And then five, I put memoir. You can see over there, I got some memoirs and history. Question 11. What is your book collection like? You see it back there. Most of those books, including the hardcover special editions, are used, secondhand, thrifted, and I do this for both financial reasons and environmental reasons. It's better for my wallet and the planet to buy anything secondhand, right? Like my clothes too. I try to buy most things secondhand when possible. It doesn't really matter what it is. This chair also was secondhand, and so is the laptop that I'm working on. I really, really value that. So I I buy most things secondhand. All right. I only keep books that I reread because I want to have less books to clean and more space, right? I gave myself this wall for books, and so when it's full, that's it. I'm not gonna, well, I do have a separate area for my unread books, but still, like I have just designated zones for where books are allowed to be, so that way I won't have too many of them. And also, most of these books are fantasy novels for children and teenagers because while aging is unavoidable, growing up is optional, and I'm a child at heart. I also don't have duplicates of physical books unless I have an illustrated one and a non-illustrated one. Because a lot of times the illustrated ones are big and heavy to carry around. So I might keep a non-illustrated one for transport. Thank you so much for watching this video until the end. To help ensure that the algorithm actually recommends this video to other people, you could help by clicking the thumbs up like button, hitting the share button, and copying the link. The algorithm won't know if you don't actually paste or post the link anywhere. It'll just see that, oh, you must have liked it, that you want to share it. You could also comment below a heart or just any of your thoughts about this video. Like, how did you feel about me doing this as a PowerPoint versus the regular talking head format that most uh, booktubers do? You know, was this helpful? If you're someone who's hard of hearing and likes a lot of text on the screen, did you not like it because you would just rather see more of me because I'm just really little in the thumbnail right now in the corner? Just let me know what you thought about that. To see any future content from me, hit subscribe. Hope to see you again. Farewell.